All right, welcome to the Freemium Podcast, everybody. Today in the house, we got Mr. George. How do you pronounce your last name? I don't want to make a mistake.
I bet you can't pronounce the last name. It's pure Arabic. It's Abou Eyoun Elsoud. So It means like father of black eyes.
Really interesting.
That's the translation.
Cool. Interesting. So we got George of Nour Insurance. They do a couple things. Nour, they do currency exchange as well. Thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you.
We've already started this conversation, so let's restart that. So you're Syrian refugee.
I'm Syrian, exactly.
Came here in 2016.
Exactly. We came as a status of Syrian refugees. We came here. We started working here, obviously due to the war in Syria.
Yeah.
We fled Syria in 2011. We went to Lebanon, where I studied in an American university. The barrier of language was not a barrier at all. The integration was super smooth. I love the people. I love Canadians. They're super welcoming. And we started our own business in 2017 as a currency exchange. A lot of Syrians, 25,000 families came as Syrian refugees here. Well, now I'm Canadian, just for the heads up. And
they came to Montreal, or 25,000 families came to Canada or Montreal?
Not all of them to Montreal. A lot of them went to Toronto.
Yeah.
Half almost went to Alberta because they were not allowed to choose the location. Some people were allowed, some people were not. Basically, the educated ones were allowed to choose. The non-educated ones, well, they're not going to survive in the city, so they had to put them in, I believe, Alberta, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
You know?
Interesting. So you came here from Syria.
Mm-hmm.
You got started right away in insurance. But you got started first with the currency exchange?
We started in the currency exchange.
So, but did you, sorry to interrupt you there,
Yeah.
George. Did you come here and then straight up just open up a business in currency exchange, or there was already a base? You already knew someone who was running a currency exchange. How did that work?
No, we started from scratch. We built our name. We already have like 30 years of experience in the currency exchange back in Syria.
Got it.
So the father, the boss, he's the mentor. Although he doesn't speak the language, but he'll tell you a thing or two about the currency exchange. And a year after we arrived to Canada, we opened our first branch, which was on the Carry. 3 months after that, we opened the second branch.
Is your dad here?
Yes.
As well? Okay, so everyone moved from
Yes.
Aleppo.
Everybody moved. Well, no, we lived in Lebanon in 2011.
Okay.
We left Syria in 2011. Like, I didn't see the war. I didn't see anything. I saw them on
it.
TV just like you. But
Yeah.
I understand, like, the headaches and the challenges that the Syrians walked through. 4 years in Lebanon, and then we came to Canada when Canada opened its doors to Syrians, you know?
Where were you staying in Lebanon?
In Lebanon, Beirut.
Okay.
Like I had to go there to study for my university.
Okay.
I almost passed, and I was left with a semester to pass and take my bachelor. But the papers came as refugees to go to Canada. And I thought about it, like graduating from Concordia is way better than graduating from any university in Lebanon.
Yeah.
So took the leap, went there, studied for another year and a half, and then got my bachelor's.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Oh, damn. Okay, you're young.
Okay.
Nice.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, quite successful for 34.
Thank you. I could say the same thing about yourself. I appreciate that. Okay, so you went to Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
And why did you not want to stay in Lebanon? I know, and I feel bad for asking this. I know Lebanon's it's not very good right now as far as I can understand.
Yes.
Hyperinflation.
True.
So
the banks
did you get out of Lebanon before everything that's going on right now happened?
All of that.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, in 2011, Lebanon was way better than Syria because Syria was a state of war. Civil war, revolution. So when we went to Lebanon, it was super easy, it was super smooth, it was super calm. Then we left in 2016. Problems with Lebanon started with the explosion in the airport that happened. It was a massive explosion, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020. So that was 4 years after we left. It was not something that we've seen, or I wasn't hurt. Like, I didn't know any of my friends or buddies that were hurt. But the current situation in Lebanon, we're not affected by it because we're not in Lebanon right now. We're in Montreal. And the second I arrived to Canada, The only thing that I loved about this country is that the more you work, the more you grow. And the more you grow, there's not going to be this separate entity that's going to come, break your knees, take half of what you own, which is basically in Middle Eastern countries. That's what happens. And
So the governments come in and they just take your stuff.
exactly. Here, they do it in a legal way, taxes.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Just tell me how
They
much
still
I
take
owe
half,
you.
but, you know.
Just tell me how much I owe you, and I'll pay you. That's not a problem. But you
Okay.
can grow. There is a glass ceiling in this country. Yes, I can see it. But with hard work, I believe we can break that, and we're breaking it as we speak. It takes a lot of hard work. The first 5 years, if you survive, you're gonna fly. But if more than 60% fail in the first 5 years, it's very hard. Cost-wise, compliance, to cost labor. Labor is very costly compared to our countries. Super cheap labor back in our countries, by the way.
How did you get started? Like, did you get a loan from? Did your family already have money? Did you get a loan from a bank? Did you get a loan from BDC? Did someone come in and put equity in the business? How did you guys get started?
Okay, so we come from family of means. When we first opened our currency exchange, we got approached by Allstate they needed someone Syrian to sell insurance because of the 25,000 families that came, and everybody's going to buy a car. Everybody's going to. It's a community that they needed to access. So what's best than choosing one of a guy who opened the currency exchange and the people already know that guy. So that's a key person to attract the Syrian clientele. I started at Allstate. Money was pouring in. I was 23 years old. I didn't understand what to do with that money. I started spending it on restaurants, clubbing for about 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
You're talking about like a 23-year-old that's making more than 250,000 a year.
Yeah.
So I was blown.
Yeah.
And then I sat with my family and I was like, why are we wasting this money away? And this is definitely not the right path to continue. We need to open our own brokerage firm and start building a portfolio.
Yeah.
That's put it in the equity and start growing. And that's exactly what we did a year and a half after I started at Allstate. And it kept on rising since then. I mean, we've been operating at Nour Insurance for about 3 years now.
Yeah, because you guys are new.
Yeah, it's all organic. We didn't buy anything, we didn't pay. I took a loan from my dad. Loan in the Arabic country, that means I'm never gonna pay my dad back. But yeah, we took some money from him, and we started the brokerage firm. Right now we're at $8 million worth of premiums.
For you guys. Yeah.
So, and it grows exponentially. That's the beauty of the business.
You'll notice though, for insurance, and I don't want to talk too much about insurance today because I've had enough insurance talks as of late. You'll notice though, like it goes, and then I find, especially in personal lines, like you kind of hit a plateau and it gets way more difficult to sell. That's what happened to us, at least, anyways.
Okay.
Like we're still growing. We're not growing as much as I would like to, which is why we pivoted. We're making a lot more of a focus now on the commercial insurance side. We still have growth in personal lines, but it's just, we're at 20. What are we in personal lines? We're 20 million roughly, but it's, 10% to grow 10%, 20 million. It's difficult to do because you're growing because there's a lot of cancellations that come in too.
True.
For you probably have a higher retention ratio because everything you have is like organic. But the point is, have you thought about yet what you're going to do once you've exacerbated all the Syrian community, right? Because so right now it's growing, but the community is only as big as the community is, right? So have you thought about like what you guys are going to do once it gets just a little bit more difficult to keep growing at the pace you guys are growing at? Because right now you're growing at what, 40-50% a year? Give or take
150%.
That's crazy.
So
good for you. Yeah,
I know it's growing super fast, but there's a trick for that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in Montreal. It's the United Colors of Benetton. Have you heard of this company?
No.
This
United
Colors of Benetton.
United Colors of Benetton.
Yeah. Work this strategy as hire your sales team from the first 6 months in opening our own brokerage firm. It's Syrians are coming, whether you call them or not, they're coming. So the first thing I started doing is hiring different communities. So we have an Egyptian, we have a Chinese, we have an Indian, we have Persian. And I know that if you are in Montreal and Laval, I don't think you'll see Canadians as much as immigrants. And Indians, Chinese have purchase power that I have never seen in my life, by the way. You're talking about homes, 7-8 million, no mortgage. Cars, no lease, no finance. Nothing. The premium of the insurance is paid one shot. That's one of the communities that I fell in love with, and I immediately hired one seller to develop that community. All I had to do is just give them the access, give them the best possible tools for them to develop and be the top at their community. So if you get multiple communities, I know that the growth will not slow down. I know we're going to peak at the Syrian community. It's got to peak somewhere. I know we're the biggest in the Syrian community as a brokerage firm, but if you're going to rely on population that just got out of war, I don't think that's the best way to focus and to build your brokerage firm on. It's a cost for the Syrian guy. It's not a cost for the Chinese guy. So you got to follow the guy that has the best purchase power. Try to develop in any way possible, but focus on the community, communities wise.
And so what do these salespeople do to get into the community?
It's very easy. They're already embedded in the community. Once you come as an immigrant, you'll have a perception that the Canadian might not have, which I didn't have back in Syria because I was in Syria.
Yeah.
You'll feel like you're a part of a group of people. You will feel it. You will see it. You will, even the ads that you get. Communities are always conservative. And once you choose a key person from that community, you'll get the bulk. And Montreal is filled with bulks of different communities, different diversities. I'm looking for a Ukrainian guy now. Every time you see a country at war and Canadians are bringing the refugees, hire a seller. Always. It works beautifully. And
interesting.
Hire a guy that works fast on the computer.
So what's the profile of person that you look for when you're trying to hire someone to go target a specific community to sell them home or car or business insurance?
So he has to be young, driven. I know it's not about discrimination, but I prefer he's to be single than married. When you're married, you have other obligations. You have kids, you have a wife. You're going to quit your job at 5. At Nour, no one quits their job at 5. It's a 9 to 9 job. The more you work, the more you're going to earn. And the strategy that's built is different, super different from other brokerage firms. At Nour, you don't do your renewals. We do them for you. We give you 100% of the commission. Just work, just go, develop. And they can develop from their friends, from dealerships, from courtier immobilier, from mortgage brokers. And the mortgage brokers from a certain community will deal with that same community. So it's
how do you guys make money though if you're giving them 100% of the commission?
We charge a 5% cut on sales. So a flat fee of 5%. So the only issue that I've seen in this industry is when 90% of brokerage firms operate in a way where you come, take your portfolio, you own it, it's yours. We just take a cut and that's about it. The broker goes, runs, develops, works magically, achieves around 1.5 million worth of volume, which is 1,500 clients, and then he peaks. There's no time between renewals, service, he peaks. So I took the renewals out of it, just focus on sales, and you'll see the broker is expanding way faster than other brokers. And that's what I saw.
And the brokers that work for you, so the contracts you have set up, do they own the book of business, or
No.
you guys own the book of business?
The brokerage firm owns the book.
So Nour Insurance owns the
Correct.
book.
Correct.
You give them 100% commission. So
Yes.
basically, you eat what you kill.
Exactly.
And then you guys take a cut just for working underneath of the Nour Insurance banner.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
And I do not want our sellers to bear any kind of cost. Any kind of cost, from UFC,
So you pay for
certificate, everything.
You pay for all that stuff. You pay for
I offer them offices, everything. Just sell the name, sell insurance, grow your portfolio within Nour.
Got it. Interesting. And what if, does it ever concern you, let's say, for example, so if you have someone who's in the Chinese community, someone in the Ukrainian community, someone in, it's a great idea, by the way, but let's say they leave, because a lot of the refugees, they're not going to speak English, they're not going to speak French.
True.
Right? So what if someone leaves? You must have thought about that going, damn, okay, if this guy leaves, I'm kind of screwed because I don't have anyone to service these clients.
I fell in that problem with the first Chinese person. Because,
tell us about this.
Okay, so things weren't working out. Some brokers, So
we don't have to get into that.
I know.
It wasn't working. It doesn't work there anymore.
It wasn't working. So I was left with not like they only spoke Mandarin, and we couldn't communicate. So I found a way to speak with them via email only through Google Translate for about 2-3 weeks until I had my time to find another person. It's very easy to find a seller, by the way. It's not easy to find a successful one. It's very easy because it's like finding an Uber driver. To be honest, it doesn't require any cost. It's fully based commission. It's very easy. He's gonna come. He's not gonna last. Most probably not gonna last half of them. But I found one 3 weeks later. It was smooth because there was no claims. So I was communicating via email. That was, thank God, Google Translate.
What's your opinion on Canadian culture?
What do you mean? My opinion on Canadian culture?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like the first thing that pops in your mind is Lafleur, bears, moose.
The animal moose.
Yeah. What else? Canadian Habs, Niagara Falls. I'm talking like me back in Syria, picturing.
Okay. How's your French? Do you speak French? Or
Yeah.
You speak French?
Je parle français. I was French educated back in Syria. I didn't go to public school.
Okay.
People that went to a public school back in Syria, they don't speak French and English. Unfortunately, like 90% of the population in Syria doesn't speak French or English. The integration that was done super smoothly for us in Canada is because we spoke those 3 languages, English, Arabic, French. That was very easy to integrate, very easy. And you'll know you're integrated very well is when you start talking to girls at a club, So and you'll know you fit in.
So you like all that stuff about Canadian culture. What's something that you don't really like about the Canadian culture?
What I don't like about this Canadian culture is there's a glass ceiling in this country. That I feel like there's a glass ceiling. They'll tell you to work harder. They'll tell you to grow, but you will arrive sometimes at a place where it's just not fair anymore. It's versus others.
Not fair.
Talking competition-wise, for example.
Okay.
There's a glass. Business-wise, I'm talking. There's a glass ceiling.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm following what you're saying. Can you elaborate on this?
Like, if I would say, for example, business-wise, we opened our own brokerage firm. We're working very hard.
Yeah.
You already know that the people that made it didn't pass through those obstacles as much as we are right now.
Okay, fair.
And I know that the more this industry goes forward, the more obstacles it shows because more problems arise.
Yeah.
But it's just not very fair because there was no sense of accountability before as much as now.
So you're saying, if I'm understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, the barriers to entry today for new businesses to start are a lot more difficult than what it was 25 years ago. Is that what
higher.
you're saying? I would agree with you there.
And
not that I've had to go through starting a business, but you just look at trying to start a business today. Let's just take insurance because we both know insurance very well. The costs to start are insane. If you don't, I mean, you're fortunate enough to have your father to give some money. I'm fortunate enough to have my father as well. So my grandfather started the business a long time ago, so it's already here. I got dealt a very good deck of cards as well. But for someone trying to get into the industry, if you don't have any connections, good luck.
Exactly, 100%.
And even the compliance is insane.
But the seller and the compliance are always like fighting.
I can't stand compliance, man.
Likewise.
And compliance, this is one thing about compliance. It's like I'm not saying we don't need regulation. We need it to some extent for sure. But people don't realize that compliance has become an industry itself. They make a lot of money on compliance. Like the AMF every single year, probably shouldn't be saying this, but I don't really care. But it's just, you know what I mean? Like over COVID, they weren't doing any audits. They kept hiring more people. I don't know what they do except kind of just get in the way. They're always asking us for more things. It takes forever to do stuff. It's expensive, very expensive to pay the AMF. We got to pay them a lot of money. Everyone has to pay them a lot of money.
Yeah,
and for what?
Sure, yeah. I completely agree. Like you spoke from the bottom of the heart. I understand that, and it's just it's going towards absurd. It's becoming a bit absurd. I
wouldn't say it's becoming. It is at this point now for compliance. I mean, we already have. So we have the AMF, then we have, I think the CHAD, then we have the GA, Then we have the government bodies where you have to go pay the tax. CNESST came in once, didn't come in. They called and said, what are the women making? What are the men making? Bro.
Okay.
Dude. When you hit a certain payroll, over $2 million in payroll, the government came and this was the provincial government this time. What are you doing for training? If you don't invest, if you're not investing the money properly, we're going to tax you. Get out of my business.
Okay.
Get out of here.
That's exactly like Syria, but like politics. See, everybody's...
They go about it a little smoother here, but it's still extortion to some extent. And so you have someone coming in from the government. Let's just take I'll take the over, as soon as you hit over $2 million in paying for labor, you have someone coming in. They have zero idea how your business works. They don't understand insurance. They probably have never worked a real job in their life. They've just worked for the government. They probably have some stupid degree. And they're coming in and saying, okay, well, you need to spend this amount of money on training. And if you don't spend this amount on training, we're going to tax you. On top of the tax we're already paying.
So they know how to run your company better than you.
That's the point I'm trying to make. They don't know what they're talking about. They have no idea. They don't know.
And they don't belong in the insurance industry. This is like...
It's a random guy. It's a fonctionnaire.
Yeah, that is absurd. I hope I won't meet that guy anytime soon.
I didn't meet him face to face, but it was a phone call, and then Hala,
I feel like there was a tension on the phone call.
Well, I don't deal with this. It's Hala, thank God. Hala's a lot more patient with this type of stuff, but she comes up to me and she knows I get angry with these types of things.
Okay.
And she's like, yeah, this is what they said. And I'm looking at her, I go, you're kidding. She goes, no. And I'm like, okay, well, so anyways, we answered it. I don't even want to answer it. But then she's making the point going, Curtis, you should probably answer it because you're going to get on their bad side for nothing. I mean, everything's good. Everything they wanted, we've done anyways. But out of principle, I want to go, no, fuck you. I'm not fucking answering this, even though we've already done it.
Bien sûr. Obviously.
Yeah. Anyways. What was it like living in Syria? I just want to go back to Syria a little bit. I'm fascinated by this. So you lived there. War was coming. You moved to Lebanon. Then you came here to Canada.
Yeah.
What was Syria like so before you left, could you see there must have been a lot of fighting by then, I would imagine?
Not at all.
There wasn't?
Not at all. It was paradise for us. I mean, the reason the war is happening is because 90% of the population to 95% of that population was very poor and was fighting to get meat, okay? And there was famine a bit. So, but there's that 5% of the population that didn't see all of that. It was a happy place.
You guys were in the
place.
5%?
Yes.
Okay.
It was perfect. It was a luxurious place.
You had a privileged upbringing.
Everything,
yeah.
Just about everything. Like the Kit Kat arrives at home. That kind of luxury that doesn't exist here because labor is expensive. But I had no idea that the majority of that population was not enjoying those at all. It was on the contrary, and but from my experience, it was a beautiful childhood. We left in 2011. War was in another city. They didn't arrive to Aleppo yet. We went to do our French back in Lebanon in August 2011. That's when they came to Aleppo. And then I went for a week to study, do the exam, to do the bac, français, le premier, and go back. Because the consulat, they closed in Syria due to the war. So we had to go to Lebanon to do the exam. But a week later, we receive a call from Dad. No, stay in Lebanon. You're never coming back. That's it. I packed for 1 week. And now I know that I cannot go back home. That's it. End game.
Were you sad?
Yes. That was a shock. Because I was in a country that I didn't like. You know that conflict.
You didn't like Lebanon?
At the beginning. Okay, I didn't like Lebanon. I was a bit brainwashed back in Syria. I was pro-regime, pro our president, pro. I was very pro. And I loved his ideas. I loved his... But
do you think you were pro because the system was working for you? Because you had a very good
exactly
life?
Most probably, yes. But then I got to see the full image in Lebanon, and later on more in Canada, that this is not the right way.
And what was his regime? What were his values?
It's a dictatorship, a normal dictatorship where one party rules all. You preferably not talk about politics. You do live in paradise. You just don't talk.
No one's
Don't
talking
share
politics
your ideas. No,
so
you're gonna end up in prison, guaranteed.
Holy shit!
You can't. Yeah.
So you're at dinner.
Yeah.
You're talking politics with somebody else, whoever, and your ideas aren't the same ideas, the same values as the dictator.
Mm-hmm.
You can end up in jail.
Most probably, it depends on who you're talking to. Might be a rat.
Fuck.
You know.
Do you know anyone that would speak up against?
A lot of them.
And they were ended up in jail?
Yes.
What was the name of the dictator again?
Bashar. Bashar al-Assad.
He's like the young-looking guy. He was pretty relatively young.
Yeah, he was young. Now, due to the war and 10 years later, 10 years of stress.
Is he still in power?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. He's still in power. Okay.
He should be in Guinness, honestly, no? He won. He stayed in power. That was... I was surprised, but,
Did your family, in order to do for... Okay, if you take countries that overall aren't as, they're poorer countries than the U.S. or poorer countries in Canada and stuff like that, a lot of times people who are rich, they have some type of affiliation with politics most of the time. Did your family have any type of affiliation? Were they friends with the right people?
That's the mistake that we didn't want to do.
And
exactly.
I'm not trying to take anything away from whatever they achieved in business. I'm just saying, I feel like in countries like this, you need to know the right people to be able to keep your money. You know what I mean? Was it like that?
No, I actually asked the same question to my dad because I'm retrying to do the same thing here.
Okay.
We always have to choose a party to be able to move forward power-wise, but in Syria you can't, because you can be sold out almost immediately. So the way this country works is, don't take a side. There's a lot of corruption, and you won't move without it. You have to give that person and that person and that person to secure yourself without taking any part, and that's it. You'll live peacefully, but you have to keep paying, because we have no taxes. So I'll consider those are taxes.
Got it.
It's the same thing. It's just legal here. And the government is almost... When I was at Allstate, the government was taking 52% out of my paycheck.
It's crazy.
I was going crazy, nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I asked to be hired under company name. I wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought about is, okay, it's time to open a company. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Half your paycheck is going to taxes. And I know that 25% of my community are taking advantage of those taxes, and I have zero respect for them, because they will work cash and go seek aide sociale. Zero respect, man. Zero respect. You're not contributing anything to this country or to the neighborhood or to anything, just any sort of contribution. You're taking cash to your pocket, and then go pay, ask for aide sociale from the government, which I'm paying for you. And no, I lost respect for all those people. And there's 25% from our community that I know that are doing this.
For a fact.
Zero respect, man. Yes.
You think it's as high as 25%?
I believe so, yes. I believe so. And the 60 and above?
Yep.
Those. The young ones, no.
You know what the crazy part about this is I could never say what you just said. I'm not allowed to say that.
Why?
I'm just not. People will label me a racist. They'll say you're a racist. All these immigrants, they're coming into our country, they're working hard, they're trying to assimilate. And you know what? The vast majority of immigrants do that. Dude, if you have an immigrant coming into our country and they want to work hard and they want to assimilate and they want to contribute to our society, come on in, man. I'll welcome you with open arms. We have immigrants that work here as well. They work fucking hard. They work super hard.
100%.
But yeah, of course I don't like someone coming in, taking aide sociale, using the system. And then when I say, I pay too much, I go, shut up. Number one, you're white. You're privileged. You have money. Shut up. You're racist.
Okay. Okay, maybe because it's coming from you, maybe it will be discrimination. But coming from a Syrian refugee,
Yeah, you're allowed to say it.
You know,
You're allowed,
I have my privilege to say it. You know.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. Do you think this is just common amongst the Syrian community, or do you think this is widespread across all types of different nationalities that come to our country?
Oh, widespread, of course, but it diminishes. The more they get established here, the more it diminishes. Once they see
taking advantage of the system, the way that diminishes. That's what you're talking about. It's like over time, like let's say for example, if you come over to our country and then second or third generation, they're probably not still taking advantage of it.
They will
That's
never
what you're
take
saying?
exactly.
Okay.
Because they will be raised the way they will be raised in Canada.
Yeah.
And they'll be like just everybody else because they lived here, same circumstances as everybody. It's just the first generation, and it keeps on diminishing. The more you get established, the more you realize that this guy that worked cash, took from Aide Sociale, didn't go anywhere in life. He just is stagflation, like it goes stagnant.
They're losers.
Yeah. Not losers,
but it's just like
assholes.
they don't achieve anything. Yeah.
It's they lost my respect because I saw the 52% and I know where it's going, so fuck that. It's just not fair. If I was waking up
and
at
by the
8,
way, I want to make this clear. It's not just immigrants who do this. I bet you it's even worse amongst just the general population.
Okay, most
like
probably.
Everyone takes advantage of it. I don't want to say everyone. A lot of people take advantage of Aide Sociale. There's too much of a welfare state here in Quebec.
Too socialist, almost.
It's definitely too socialist, this damn province. I'm a capitalist. It sounds like you're a capitalist as well.
Oh, guaranteed.
If I want to work harder, you should incentivize me to work harder, not increase my tax. Anyways, this is a debate that will go on forever.
But
the other half is going to disagree with us because they're going to say you have enough money, you have the means, you should be paying for more people. But show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome.
Exactly.
And people, this is something that I find socialists don't understand. The incentives are not aligned. You have to create the proper incentives to incentivize people to try and grow a business. And like right now in Canada, we have a big issue with productivity in Canada. Like no outside business, big business wants to come to Canada and invest right now. It's not a good place to invest right now. It's just not. I mean, you can get, if you're an international, if you're living internationally and you have the opportunity, you're a businessman, you got a lot of money. Would you go to the US or Canada?
US.
You're going to the US.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
True. From real estate guaranteed, not Canada.
No.
Interest rates are very bad.
It's like that everywhere. Interest rates are it's like that everywhere though right now. But for just like the regulation and the barriers to entry that we have here in Canada in many industries, why would you want to come here? I wouldn't come. I would go to the U.S. before going to Canada any day.
It's not that bad. Canadians, they do attract businesses, a lot of them. There's a funny story that Canadians, they allow people to open businesses. Half the countries across the world, they don't usually allow immigrants to open businesses. When we went to Lebanon and lived for almost 4 years, we weren't allowed as Syrians to open a business in Lebanon because we had to find a Lebanese citizen that owns more than 50%, 51%.
Really?
To be able to open that business. That's a country that doesn't want foreign investments.
China's like that. Russia's like that. I didn't know Lebanon's like that. I feel like most of in Syria,
the BRICS and lower, and the third world is more likely, and those are the socialist countries.
Do you agree or disagree with doing that?
I completely disagree.
Completely disagree.
Yes.
Why?
Because it limits the opportunities. They come and tell you that don't open the business. You're taking the jobs out of our own citizens. But if I build a brokerage firm, or if I build any other business, I'm gonna hire your population. I'm going to lower the unemployment rate. Why not? It's business. I'm driving money in to the country.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to say no to foreign investments in this country, especially if I'm living there. I will choose to establish if I have a business. I left Lebanon because I was not allowed to establish a business.
Do you think you would still be in Lebanon if they allowed you to establish a business?
I think so, yes.
Yeah?
Yes. We would not have left to Canada. We were super excited about it. The kids, the parents, super uncomfortable.
With you going to Canada? Or?
Yes. Well, them going to Canada. Barrier of language, cold, a lot of, you know,
it's definitely colder
with old people when they tell each other, yeah, it's very cold, like don't come, like they'll be afraid, you know. And they told them here you have to wait like 6 hours to see a doctor. In Lebanon, it's all private, so if you pay, you go in.
6 hours to see a doctor. That's if you're lucky. It's usually a lot longer than that.
I mean, it turns out it's true, you know. But back in our countries, no, it's private. There are public. It's like label it hospital. It's not that good.
Yeah.
Okay, but the private ones are very good, very advanced. But you had to pay to go in. There's no wait line because not a lot of people would pay to go in.
Was it expensive to go see a doctor in Syria?
If you're making your money in US dollars or euros back in a hometown where it deals with a third world currency, you're always not focusing on cost. Cost is super low.
Were you making money? So just correct me if I'm wrong. You guys had a currency exchange in Syria.
Well, yeah, not just that. Like we had several businesses back in Syria.
What did you guys do in Syria? What did your family do in Syria?
We had an auto spare part import-export company. We had a mall. Okay. We had buildings. You know, like if you go to Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue, or you go to La Baie Saint-Paul, and you see like some housing, we did those as well, but like back in Syria, same views, same like in the urbain, you call it rural. We had investments there. We have a factory that produces metal. We have a factory that produces the hot dog, and we export it to Germany. I mean, there's a lot of.
So you guys did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, because one business you succeed in, it leads you to another business. And the most beautiful thing about a currency exchange is that I don't care if I make money or not, because this business is a net to gather all your connections. And then you dealt with this guy likes you. Okay, this guy is going to come up and tells you, okay, I need capital and I want to open a factory. Okay, we'll come 50%, you manage, and you take 10% royalty as well. And he'll start working. And that's how we developed multiple businesses throughout the net. We got approached from Allstate because of the currency exchange. So I love it. I don't care if I don't make money out of it. But the beautiful thing about it that I've seen is the money transfer. We live from 2016 to 2023. Syrians are not allowed to send wires through the bank.
They're not.
We can transfer those funds legally.
Why aren't they allowed?
They're not allowed because they're sanctioned. And that's not fair. People that are selling their homes simply because they want to buy a home here, it's just not fair not to allow them to do so. But the banks not allowing them to do so created a niche market for us. And you're not going to give your money to anybody that you don't trust, especially in Syria.
Yeah.
That's where our family name plays a huge role.
Got it.
And helped us a lot.
Got it. So anyone coming here, okay, that makes so much more sense now. Because I was always curious about that. Like, obviously, you know, I looked up, I see your stuff on LinkedIn all the time. I saw the currency exchanges, and I was just going, currency exchange and insurance. I went, interesting. Okay, like what's the...
It was.
I thought you started the insurance first and then got into the currency exchange. It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
The other way around.
It's the opposite.
Okay, this makes sense to me.
We started at our third branch with the currency exchange. I used to deal with a guy, an Italian guy back up north, Montreal Nord.
Yeah.
He has a currency exchange, and his wife is working in the insurance. One building they own one by one. Small business, but this is the first time I've seen, okay, so like it could happen, the exchange and the insurance. So after I worked at Allstate, I figured that instead of renting a big office like everybody does, what we're going to do is create, each branch has in front currency exchange, and in the back 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10 offices of, you know, and we take the consent of the client. We have to take the consent of the client to send the information to our team at the insurance and give them a quote. It's free.
So that's your lead generation system. People coming in for the currency exchange. Hey, by the way, we do insurance as well.
Exactly.
Can we reach out to you for the insurance?
Exactly.
It's very smart.
It's
very smart.
loved it because it's free. Otherwise, like other center of influences, you have to pay per lead.
Very expensive marketing.
It is
very, very expensive. This is why I'm trying to do something like this. It's and it is working. Like, we're getting more and more and more views. Most of the views come from, Shamar and I were always talking about this. Shem's the guy cooking in the kitchen. He's always got a little, he's good at that, posting and stuff. But all the views come from Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. That's where most of the views come from. People do listen to the Spotify or the full-length YouTube video, but it's the vast majority of the views are from very, very, very short videos. But it's like brand awareness campaigns. But our strategy was to do that so that I don't have to spend that much money on paid advertising, because paid advertising, it's so expensive. I've seen you guys too. You had like Google Ads for a little bit. Are you still running the Google Ads?
A little bit less. A little bit less.
It was getting expensive, and like you weren't seeing a return.
Plus, the leads, they're not good leads.
I agree.
They're not at all.
I agree. Yeah.
And almost bad clientele.
I agree, man. Like for us in Ontario, most of the leads, not all, there's still a lot of good clients out there, but I fully agree with you, dude. Some of the clients we would get, I'm like, holy shit! Like, this is a guy like I would pay not to
How
have
is
you
this
as a
a
client.
lead?
Yeah, and you're like, speak to them. You're like, oh god, this is. Guys, just for the viewers out there, trust me, there are clients you do not want to insure.
Exactly.
Speak to anyone who runs a business sometimes, and they end up just like, and then once they become a client, they'll call you. You ever have those clients that just I don't even know what they call for. Like, you see their file and they've called you maybe 20 times in a year. They haven't even changed their car. You're like, How has this person called me 20 times in a year? What are you calling me for?
Wait, you're not allowed to say that, because if you didn't service the Syrian community, you don't know what service means. I mean, we're the towing people. We're the mechanics. We're the guy fixing the car. They don't have 20%. They don't know how to read, right? Like the English or French.
Yeah.
He calls you, what is this? Like, read it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, makes
this
sense.
is the contract. Okay. Yeah. Is there anything I need to do? No. Okay. Thanks. Bye. And there's like 20 people like that daily basis.
Daily basis?
Yeah. Like, what I love about the Canadian, I sell the insurance. If he has a claim, he'll call the claims department. He doesn't call me.
Yeah.
Not with the Arabic guy. He doesn't know that. The idea of insurance back in Syria is not.
That was my next question, because in Middle Eastern culture, correct me if I'm wrong, insurance isn't a thing.
No, not at all.
Like, so they come here, so it's like, I always remember, and you'll have a lot more examples than me, like for immigrants, when they'll come here, they'll be like, hi, I have a car, how much for the insurance? Like, sir, it doesn't work like that. I need to, you have to ask the address, the name, all these questions. Like, why? Just give me a price. Like, sir, that's not how it works in Canada. But yeah, what are some? What's it like dealing with the clientele where insurance just isn't part of their culture?
Well, first of all, you know how you sell insurance back in Syria?
How?
Hi, how are you? How much is your car? 50K? Okay, 3% of that. That's it. I don't care where you live. I don't care about your name. Sorry, name and last name.
Okay.
It's not. There's no compliance. Nothing. And I think Lloyd's is the only one that provides insurance, and Allianz with a Z.
Yeah,
Alliance with a Z, right?
Yeah.
Those are in Lebanon and Syria.
Okay.
But for example, us, we didn't have insurance. We didn't need insurance. Oh, this car is totaled. Okay.
What about on the big buildings and the businesses that you own? You wouldn't get insurance on that either? Really? So if it catches fire, it's gone?
Yeah, that's God. That's the mentality. And to have to, the beautiful thing here, they forced them to do so. And when you get a lease, you're forced to do it full cover. Otherwise, everybody would be on civil liability. Everybody, because that's the mentality back there. And they'll handle their cost. But an immigrant that comes here cannot handle his cost in Canada. He can handle his cost in Syria. So he'll be more willing to buy insurance.
In Middle Eastern culture, is there as much credit as there is here? Like, everything in Canada, everything in the US, but let's just stick on Canada. Everything's credit. No one goes there and buys cash. And most of the time, people can't even afford it. Like, they're buying credit cards that they should not be putting these things on a credit card. And a lot of times, they have mountains and piles of debt. Is Middle Eastern culture more, if I don't have the cash in my bank account, then I just don't buy it?
Exactly.
That's what it's like over there, right?
Exactly. There's no credit. When I grew up in Syria, up until 2012, I don't believe we had a debit card or a credit card.
Cash, everything.
Yeah, because you go somewhere, for example, for a dépanneur. That's only cash. There's no moneris. That doesn't exist yet. In Lebanon, I've seen a few luxury like restaurants that have it, but like more than 50% of them, I don't think they have. In Lebanon, there is more now, because I haven't been in Lebanon since 2018, 2017. But I don't know about now. In Syria now, they came up with credit cards for onions.
For onions?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's the irony of it. They're beginning to... food is scarce, right? Not everyone can buy anything anymore. So you get a credit card, you're allowed 5 kilos of onions per month, for example. And you get another card for oil. You get another card for l'essence. It's scarce to the level of get me out of here, scarce. There's no water, there's no electricity.
So the only people, what if you're super, super rich and have influence? Then you can get whatever you want?
You leave the country.
You leave.
If you stay, the people that stayed in there do not have the means to leave, from my experience and my analysis. Because if you have the means,
you're out of there.
You have to leave. You have to leave. You're on a salary of $15 a month. I almost thought of talking to people back in Syria to do videos. They asked a lot. So it turns out that department back in Syria, they know that I'm in Canada or I'm in Europe or whatever. So they charge $500 or $1,000. But I know they get paid $15, $30, $40 max tops a month. It's impossible to grow or to eat or to have the basic. Electricity comes 30 minutes a day. 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night. This is not a life. Like, you can't.
And was it like this before you left, or no, it's like this now?
Not at all. Back in Syria, I remember it used to cut 1 hour.
Okay.
But we had a generator.
Got
it like our electricity stays on, but one hour is okay. That's not a problem for the population. But 30 minutes a day.
Yeah. Come on.
And water, like when the water comes, you got to shower.
How did it get to this?
10 years of war. The country, the regime was very ready to fight. And he had reserves.
And fight for what? Just to keep power?
Yes, to stay in power.
So can you give me just like the whole picture of what happened? So there was a civil war.
It started as a revolution, just like it started like it's called the Arabic Spring. I don't know if you heard about it.
I have.
Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, and then came Syria. So those countries fell, like the regimes fell one after the other.
Yeah.
Within max 1 year of the revolution, except Syria. Syria was a very complicated case because...
Why was it complicated?
They were not refusing to stop. Like, no one was refusing to stop. It started as a peaceful revolution, but with peaceful revolution, if it keeps on for a year, guaranteed there's going to be violence. Obviously, there's going to be violence because there's going to be some idiot that's going to pull the trigger. And it did. It did happen. Then it turned into a conspiracy. Some people would say that Israel does it. Like every Arabic guy would tell you, yeah, Israel is responsible. Like, I don't think Israel is responsible. Like, I believe that the people have had enough, you know?
So it had nothing to do with religion. It just had to do with the fact that the regime that was in power were taking advantage of the populace?
Not a lot. Okay, so we're going to go back 1970 when his dad did a coup and took power.
Yeah.
Okay? The father stayed in power for 30 years and then gave it to the son. The son tried to open the country because back in the days, we had no toilet paper. Everything was smuggled to Syria. But once the son came, there's a bit of opening. Banks started coming in.
And you want to open up to the international community. Say, hey, we're open for business, so they could start importing stuff. Okay,
exactly.
Got it.
It opened.
It sounds like that's a good thing.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
Like it was flourishing.
Yeah.
And bam, the revolution happens. Everything shuts down. everything shuts down. With 10 years of fight, even if you have a lot of reserve in billions, it's going to be depleted. You can't fight the population.
But if he opened up the country to the rest of the world, and that's going to create, more jobs, people are going to get a better quality of life. They're able to buy things they couldn't buy before. Wouldn't that be good for the country? And why didn't it end up being good for the country? Like, how did this lead to revolution?
Because the people that were rich got richer, and the people that were poor got poorer in this strategy. It didn't work.
So basically all the people who controlled the means of production, they just kept all the money for themselves, and it never went down to the bottom.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. And you cannot control the way people think or operate. It's the regulations that drives the people how to operate. Because anyone is... If you don't put regulations, it's anarchy.
Yeah.
If you don't put regulations, it's just like if you go to Wall Street. I love going to Wall Street. They're sharks. The execs, they're sharks. They're sharks.
Yeah, they are.
What regulation is going to stop them?
And it's so crazy that they have the amount of money that they have, which buys them power, and they make the rules. They go lobby government and literally just make the rules of the game.
Yeah, cronies keep getting fatter.
It's crazy.
I know.
It's
that's capitalism. That's capitalism.
It is capitalism. It's not perfect. There's a lot of faults with capitalism.
There is.
My argument is always, okay, show me another system. Show me another system that will create incentives as efficiently as capitalism does. And I've yet to see a system that can. A lot of people disagree with us. They're not capitalists. That's fine.
True.
It's a never-ending debate. You can go ask 10 people in a room, and you're going to get 10 different answers for what they think the best is. You'll have a communist, you'll have a 2 or 3 capitalists, you'll have a socialist, you'll have an anarchist, you'll have they're all... You can't please everyone, right? So
exactly, but check China, for example. They're very smart. They're very, very smart.
They sure are. Yeah,
the smartest competitor to the U.S., I believe.
Yeah, their economy is going to be bigger than the U.S. economy in 2030,
I believe.
That's fucking pretty soon.
The
it's
GDP
in 5 years.
Their
GDP is going to be bigger than the U.S.
True. Yeah. I mean, they separated the country. Like in the coast, it's full-on capital. Yeah. The rest of the country,
farmers,
full-on communist.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to own land, but
the CCP owns all the land, the means of production for all that stuff. Yeah,
it seems to be working because people are buying.
It seems to be working, but I think there's a layer behind that. I mean, how many people left China during COVID? Imagine, I can't even imagine, but imagine living in China. Mm-hmm. Where they follow you everywhere. You have a social credit score. Everything you do, they know what you're doing. They know what you're saying. They know who you're speaking to. And then when COVID erupts, you can't leave your house for, I think it was 45 days. It was 30 or 45 days. You were not allowed to leave. You're stuck in your house. I personally wouldn't accept a government doing that to me. And a lot of people were like, hey, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to be around this.
So they kept them at home? Sorry. To interrupt you, they kept them at home at all times, like 24 hours?
They were not. You were not allowed to leave your house. Yeah, they kept you in the house.
Okay.
So it's like they were super, super strict COVID rules, and I don't know. It's just the way how they control the population. You can only do that for so long.
It's a totalitarian regime.
It's definitely totalitarian. They have some capitalistic tendencies in how they actually run their country. They're very smart, like you said. They work very hard. But I have a feeling, and again, I'm not Chinese, but I have a feeling it's very similar to what you mentioned earlier about Syria. If you speak bad about the CCP, you'll go to jail. You're not allowed to speak bad about the CCP.
It's the same thing in China, I believe. It's the same thing in China. I feel like the history is repeating itself back in the 20th century.
Yeah.
You're going to see them again, Russia and China together, and then you always have the West on the other side, and they're always clashing for some reason.
Yeah.
But now they have cash. They have a lot of purchase power. The Chinese and the Russians, they have a lot of purchase power. And they're emptying their reserves in U.S. I don't know how this is going to be dealt with, but it's pretty interesting where we're going. Very
It's
interesting.
definitely interesting. I don't think it's as bad. Like, I don't buy into this is the end of the American dollar, and I don't buy into that yet. But the BRICS nations opening up a financial system to compete with SWIFT, I mean, it makes sense that they're doing that because the U.S. just keeps going around everywhere and sanctioning people, and they basically shut them out of the SWIFT system. So
They're a monopoly.
And they're going, okay, well, look, we're just going to come up with a separate system because so next time you guys try and sanction us, which is not if, but when, we'll just say, okay, no problem. We'll conduct all our business through the second system, whatever they're going to call it.
Exactly.
Things are definitely changing. I think when we're a little bit older, I don't think the U.S. will be where they are today. But then you can also give the counter argument. China, they have a big problem with the population. They have a shrinking population, an aging population. And
they are allowed one kid, right? A family per
not
family?
anymore. I think they're
they stopped it, this one?
They stopped it. Well,
Okay.
now they need to have kids because basically, like, you have a population collapse, and then because you have to collect all the tax revenue stuff.
Okay.
If the population is shrinking, it's not good. They can't support like the state.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because back in school we studied like, one kid per family.
It was like that a while ago. It's not like that
Okay.
anymore, though. You
But
can have kids. I think they realize now, like, fuck, okay, we need to increase our population. But yeah, how long we at? We have to. I have an hour and a half today. What are we at? 56 minutes. All right, we got time. What do you want to talk about, man? You want to talk about anything business related or stuff like that?
I want to talk about you a bit.
Sure.
I want to know something that I'm very curious about.
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
Why one company in personal lines?
What do you mean?
Like, do you have, from what I heard,
Yeah.
KBD has in personal lines
Yeah.
Intact Insurance.
No, we have.
You have all of them?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
then scratch that. I know. Okay,
We used to have just Intact.
for how many
That's
years?
true. Well, when I first started here, which was just under 11 years ago,
You
it
built
was
this
just
brokerage firm?
Intact. Well, we as a team there,
Okay.
but yeah, it was hands. Like when I started here, we were two people. It was
Okay,
just
nice. In 2011?
in 2011.
Okay.
It was just two people, so it was myself and someone else, and yeah, I was like, hey, let's grow this. My dad helped out a little bit, but I did a lot of the heavy lifting to try and grow it. At the beginning, it was just Intact. We were just Intact for a while, and it wasn't until they passed that law. You are right. There's a reason to think about this. In personal lines, in commercial insurance, you can't have one company in commercial insurance. You have to have multiple. So we had multiple for there. But in personal lines, it wasn't until they passed that law, I think it was 4 years ago or 5 years ago, where if you want to call yourself an insurance broker, you need to have access to at least 3 insurance companies. It wasn't until then that we actually made the switch.
Okay.
And I'm very happy that we made that switch, to be honest. So
Okay.
today we have, in Ontario, we have many insurance companies. Here we have Intact, we have Economical, we have Dunic, we have Chubb.
Chubb directly. You deal
Chubb directly, yeah.
Okay.
We're getting Promutuel.
All the regions or just a specific one?
I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know.
It's pretty tricky. This is the old mentality of insurance.
Yeah,
Where
it's regional, right? Yeah. Okay, I know. I understand what you're saying because the Promutuel, I think you have to. So
it depends on where you're located. Eh? You're gonna most probably take either Lanaudière or something else.
Vaudreuil.
Vaudreuil, yeah.
I would take
or something
Vaudreuil,
like
I
that.
think.
But the only iffy part about it is that when you get a home and an interesting client that you want to sell in Chicoutimi, maybe.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Just to FYI, not all, but some insurance companies, especially if you go to like just give them a big pile and concentrate it with one insurance company or not,
I'm against doing that.
I get it, but just hear me out.
Okay.
They give volume transfer bonuses from time to time too. I probably shouldn't be saying this right now, but just don't clip this. It'll be fine. Yeah. They'll give you a bonus
For just transferring those volumes.
I'm not going to say who.
Okay.
And it depends on many scenarios. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But there are scenarios where they can give you a bonus for transferring over.
But wouldn't that be you losing other companies because you don't have the requirement minimum volume to get the others? I mean, don't you want your brokerage firm to have the highest closing ratio?
I'm more concerned with being more efficient on the workflow.
What do you mean?
For commercial insurance, yes, you need markets.
Okay.
My business model is a little bit different. It's more of a factory because it's like we have enough leads that come in. So if it's okay, here are our prices. We try and get the best price, of course, obviously. The best price, best protections. But we have our companies. So unless you're super rich, we'll put you with Chubb or Intact Prestige. If you're rich, big house, stuff like that. That's a much slower process. We have the people to do that. It's more, it's like a white glove service. Because they're not really that concerned about the price. It's more, what's the service you're going to offer me?
True.
What's the product? So that's a different sale. So I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about just, most of the leads that come into our office. We have so many leads that come to our office. If it doesn't fit, next.
Exactly.
That's the way I look at it. So, but therefore, what I mean when I say workflow, I don't want the salespeople spending too much time on one lead. I want them to get it out of the way and be ready for the next one. That's
100%.
And then from on the back end side, the actual financials of it, having fewer companies ends up being more lucrative for the insurance broker as well. Let's be honest, bro. Like, do you shop your home and car insurance? Do you shop for them every year?
I have 4 employees that shop every 2 years.
That's crazy.
I know the cost is high, but our retention ratio is at 95%. It's doubling the size. The strategy is very simple. I know it's not going to be making money.
It's very old school. I mean, I commend you for doing that, but I'm just saying, because you have 2 people. Okay, so let's say after payroll tax, you have your group insurance, you have this. So let's just say 2 people is going to cost you $125,000. Let's just say, okay, it's costing you $125,000 a year. For what? To get an extra 5% in retention? What's that bringing you?
The volume. I want the volume.
But it's not bringing you $125,000 in value.
I don't want, but wait, what do you mean? If I sell the book, the mechanism doesn't get sold with it. It's the book.
No, I get that part. But what I'm saying is, okay, so if you have the 2 people shopping for you every single year. So you're shopping. Yes, I agree with you. It's going to keep the retention at your office high.
Exactly.
But you're dropping the overall volume.
No.
Well, if you're going to switch the client, it's going to be for lower premium.
Lower from the renewal. Like it doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't go down. It might not go as high as others because of the renewal, but you'll try to make him placed at the same price he was paying last year.
Yes. I agree. Okay, yeah. Fair. It's, again, very old school. I commend you for doing this, but no one does this anymore.
I know.
And unless someone, for us, like I'll just say this, and like, look, I'll say this publicly, and we tell our clients this too. For us, we do renouvellement automatisé. Everything's sent out automatically. Everything. We don't touch anything. Because you're spending a lot of money just on administration. And this can all be done by an insurance company where a computer does it.
Okay.
You're going to save a lot of money if you get a direct contract. I'm just saying this. I've been doing this for 11 years. And you know how to sell. You have a nice brand. You have a great business model.
Thanks. It's
smart, like what you're doing. But you're spending a lot on the administration side. That's not bringing value to yourself, and you're going to be surprised. I bet you anything, your retention is barely going to get hit if you just let the insurance companies do their thing. It'll drop a little bit, but by the amount it drops, it will be a lot less than what you're spending on right now just to keep all these clients. That's the point I'm making.
But okay, so if a client, let me ask you something, because I understand where you're coming from. Okay, I understand that. But hear me out on this. If you have, let's say, a problem with a client, would that affect you in any way or other than losing that client?
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay, so let's say it's normal to have disputes not disputes. This client doesn't like the price, he wants to leave.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Does it affect in any other way other than losing that client? Does it affect? No, probably not.
Not really. Well, I mean,
it doesn't.
No, not really. No.
Right?
No. Yeah.
Okay. Our strategy is focused on community.
Yeah.
If that guy is not happy, that guy is going to tell his friends who brought them to us.
Yeah.
So he's going to tell those 5 people. Yeah. And they're going to leave also. And those 5 people know people.
Fair, but
it's very concentrated
in
a way where this guy must stay happy. If he's not happy, I'm screwed.
But what do you do if he shops with Desjardins or he shops with Beneva and gets a better price? You
show him the fact that you tried your best. That's the only way. From our perspective of building the
point I'm trying to say though is you can still show that you tried your best without having to go through all the hoops that you're going through right now at your expense.
With auto renewals? How?
Automatic renewals,
Mhm.
I just say straight up. We just tell them, we go, look, it's sent out by a computer. If you have any questions, give us a call. Like, we're not going to call you. You call us, dude. You call us, we'll look at it. No problem. Like, we're not going to say, no, fuck you. You're with Intact. You're with Intact. No, if it's like if it's a serious thing, we'll take a look at it for sure. If the guy's paying $200 a year, no, we're not going to look at it.
Obviously.
But like
The
for
one-way
someone
is
else, a nice file, yeah, we'll look at it. But you got to call us. So that's what we tell them. I'm telling you, man, you really gotta. I'm not trying to tell you how to run the business, but you're missing out on a lot of money. A lot.
I know.
A lot.
I know. Roughly,
Hundreds of thousands.
I did the math. A lot. More. Like 350. I know. But it's gonna come. It's fine. It's not about the money. I opened this brokerage firm for recognition and for market share, and I want to absorb as much volume as I can.
But the only thing though right now, so it's like, and I'm going through the same thing with dealing with banks or insurance companies, or sometimes insurance companies will get financing, sometimes the banks will give financing and stuff like that. They want to see the market has changed, and even if you look at the stock market and stuff like that, it's no longer the mentality of growth at all costs. The mentality is switching to what is your profit, what's your EBITDA margins, what are your profit margins. And so while you're great at growing, your margins are for sure not very good, and that's fine because I went through the same things. I know what you're going through. I totally know what you're going through.
So
if you want
have to use that way, right?
But the point I'm trying to say for this is, you seem like an ambitious guy. If ever you want to, make an acquisition, if ever you want to, like, I bet you anything, if an acquisition came your way, you're going to take a look at it, right?
Not today.
But let's say in 2 years or something like that, 2 years or 3 years.
No, not today because of the interest rate. I'll buy. Yeah. If the interest rates were the same as 2020, oh yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you don't have, banks right now don't care that much about growth, they want profit. So what I'm saying is, if you don't have profit to show them, even with all your growth, you're still not going to be able to get an outside loan. So unless you have someone with I don't know how much money your father has. If he has,
you can buy it cash.
Okay. So there you go. You don't have to worry about banks.
Why pay interest?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's the best option of all of them. So, all right, forget what I said.
I mean, it's quite risky what we're doing, because my brother and I are not enjoying the pie. Not now. It's gonna come. Like, I know for a fact that.
But why not just? I started to cut you off again.
No problem.
Okay, you have with the Banyel, you have 7 companies.
We have 7. Was it 7 or 8? Yeah.
Why not cut it down to 4 and get 4 contracts, and put $350,000 in your pocket?
I know I can get them. I'm already at 1.5 million.
With each?
Like,
so what are you doing? What are you waiting for?
Not now, because I'm waiting on several insurance companies that I need to have access to them all. I will not leave without having access to the most insurance companies possible.
I completely disagree with you.
I know.
Okay. I mean, it's fine. It's just like, it's not in Ontario. This is something that you need to. I agree with what you're doing if you were in Ontario, this is what you need to do, because in Ontario it's a completely different market. For example, if the insurance company wants to increase their rates in Ontario, they have to ask the commission. The commission has to talk amongst themselves. Okay, fine. You can pass the 10% increase for all your clients this year. In Quebec, if Intact or Promutuel or Desjardins or whoever wants to pass an increase, they don't have to ask anybody. Poof, next day they put the rates up. The rates are up. Different in Ontario. So now, in Ontario, you need your markets. I agree.
Okay,
in Quebec,
it's set premiums?
Bro, it's in Ontario. Yeah. Highly regulated. Highly regulated. It's not good for the consumer. That's a whole other debate for a different day. We're not going to get into. But for here,
interesting.
But for here in Quebec, like, I'll just go back to the same point. If you get your markets, I'll make a bet with you right now. If you were to get direct contracts and have 4 markets as opposed to 8, I'll bet you anything your retention will drop by less than 2%. That's it. It'll barely make a difference. I'm telling you.
You don't know immigrants, man. Like,
okay.
If you would deal with them, the word of mouth goes like crazy, and they're all hot leads. Haven't you insured the Indian community? is one of the communities that refer people like crazy.
Yeah.
Insure one guy last name Singh,
Yeah.
you're going to have 10 people calling you.
Yeah.
Immediately after that, if you
Yeah.
give him a good price.
Yeah.
How are you going to guarantee that you're going to give and take this opportunity if you don't have access? You know, and you met the requirements of all their volumes. It's not about the requirement. Sales are going to come. They're going to come. Just give a good service and they're going to come. But why limit yourself to 3-4 insurance companies? Because I've seen a lot of people do that. But why? Like, I cannot survive without Wawanisa, for example.
Because the money you're making on the back end, you're spending a lot on administrative costs. A lot.
Yeah.
That doesn't bring any added value to the actual, to the brokerage from a financial standpoint. It's
Okay.
just, it's a cost. I understand what you're doing. I get it. And we used to do kind of all the same stuff too. And then we slowly but surely started. I'll give you another example. I'll never forget this. When I first started working here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we had it was $2.7 million when I first started working here. Small little, small book. And we went through, I called every single client, every one of them, to update their file. Every single one of them.
Okay.
And my father and I, we both agreed, this is going to help our numbers. This is going to increase the retention. Every one of them got a call. It's good service, right?
Exactly.
At the end, the retention didn't move once. And we actually dropped in premium because when I called them up, a lot of people, they had available credits.
Okay.
So it actually cost us money to go give all that added value and we got nothing in return.
Okay. But wouldn't that client stay with you for longer? No.
That's another side argument that you could say, absolutely, for sure. That's one way to look at it. But in that particular year, it cost us money. I don't regret doing it because you are right. From a service standpoint, customers do appreciate that. And you are probably correct where the retention would increase over a longer period of time. But for that particular year, it cost us money to do that. We lost money.
Huh.
Anyways, it's like, I think eventually when you start running like all the math and you really start looking at everything and all the nitty gritty and the details, I guarantee you right now, you're not going to have 8 companies in like 5 years. I promise you won't. And it won't be
But
because
why?
you'll see the number. Trust me, you will.
Okay. And you're pretty positive that if we did the automation like you guys do, we will not drop by more than 2-3% the retention ratio. I can live with 92% instead of 95.
92 is still excellent. The Intact average, this is across, Intact's the biggest in Quebec. That's why I say Intact. The average is 87% retention in car, and I want to say 89 in home. That's the average across.
That's it? Like we're working for 7% excess?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the average with renouvellement automatisé. That's sending out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I based my math out of Allstate, which is like 70%.
Intact, well, much higher.
Okay.
Way
But
higher.
how do you deal with that client of Economical that you placed him at $100 and his premium on renewal is 180, and the contract will be sent automatically to that client, and you already know this guy is going to cancel. He's going to cancel.
Deal with it when he calls.
Some of them, they don't call. They just shop and leave.
A lot of them call. Most of them call.
Yeah?
Especially if they're close with you, and especially if they're immigrants, they don't speak English or French. Of course they're going to call. They'll call.
Well, yeah. One of the most beautiful things about that, just to go back at the immigrants,
Yeah.
they'll call you to open the claim.
Yeah.
So you have a claim monitoring
Uh-huh.
on the portfolio
Yeah.
in a way never seen before. Because the Canadian,
Yeah.
he knows how to call the claims department. So you
Yeah.
have no control on it.
Yeah.
But us, hey, it's not worth it. If it's less than $1,000, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Honestly, be honest with the client. If it was me, I would not claim. Why would you claim less than $1,000?
Yeah.
So you have control over the loss ratio on your portfolio.
I agree. And that's, but for the contingence, I mean, you got over COVID, some of the insurance brokers, the contingence checks they were getting, man. This isn't like brokerages. They're not massive brokerages, but just like one insurance company. I won't name the broker, won't name the company, but I know one guy told me got $1 million. Sorry,
you're breaking my heart here.
$1.2 million. That's on top of that. Just check at the end of the year.
Breaking my
your
heart.
commissions, your commission, got your commission and everything like that. You got your fees, you got this. At the end of the year, here you go, sir. $1 million.
Fuck, man. I know we're missing out on a lot. I know. But it's gonna come. It's gonna come, right? I mean, I know we missed our good days of huge growth.
But also, too, not only that, what about on the service side of things? How do you make a modification when they call? You have to send an email, you have to call, you have to wait, you can't get prices directly on the spot, right? Bro.
I know.
Come on.
I know. But this is a huge move, so it needs a lot of calculations.
But that's
keep
why
in mind,
I would
have
just
3
say,
years of experience.
But what about this? What about this? And again, I know you have 3 years experience, but you're really good at the selling side of it, which is the most important part to be good at. So that's the good thing going for you.
Yeah.
What if you did this? You keep 3 insurance companies, so you're still a broker.
Okay.
I know you don't want to. You want to keep all your options, but you keep 3. You go, okay, I'm going to have this guy, this guy, this guy. One, you got to go with Intact. They're the most simple, good claim service. So I go Intact, whatever 2 you want to go next. Bang, bang, bang. You speak to the insurance companies. Bro, they're going to talk to you. If you already have volume to give them, I promise you're going to get a meeting with them.
Okay.
And then you try to negotiate and say, what are you going to give me extra? I'll give you the volume. I have all this. I'm weighing my options. Bro, everything's negotiable in life. You're a Middle Eastern. You're Arab, bro. You know this. Of course you know this. You can negotiate anything in life.
That is true.
Yeah. Everything's negotiable in life. Yeah.
True.
That's what I would do if I were you. I would sit down. I would do it sooner rather than later because you're losing a lot of money and you'll see the money that you're losing.
I've been told that. You're not the first to tell me that.
We could talk after if off the record or not in front of the cameras or something. If ever you want to, I could show you all this stuff because I've gone through all this already.
Okay.
I was young too. The only thing I used to think about was growth. I thought money grew on trees and let's just grow an insurance company. I didn't know the other side of it. I didn't know how to, actually make margins. I didn't know how to make a profit. I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know what EBITDA was. I didn't know. There's all these things that I've learned to actually run a company. It's not just all, grow. That is, like I said, that's the most important part in insurance. I agree with you, but there's other sides to it. I mean, why are we doing all this if there's no money for the owners at the end of the day anyways? You know what I mean?
True. But okay, give it that. For the first 5 years, wouldn't you focus, for example, on growth?
I would.
Get the volume.
Yeah.
And then manage it properly.
I would, but I mean, you have enough volume. If you're $7 or $8 million in volume right now, that's enough volume to have contracts. I mean, it's silly not to have contracts. It is. It's.
But not all of them. What made you start in the insurance business? What was your motivation?
It was in the family already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you come from brokerage firm.
Well, my grandfather started it, some 3rd generation, and then.
You guys have the Lloyd's pen?
We do.
Oh, cool. Okay, I thought that was.
It's not all it's made out to be.
It's like a myth, huh?
It's not everything it's made out to be.
Okay, really? Yeah. Before it was, and you give the insurance.
It was okay.
Wow, that's super cool.
It's cool to get it on pros and cons. There's pros and cons. If there's a risk that you really want to write, I don't suggest getting the pen for home and car insurance. I don't even think they do anymore. But in commercial insurance, if there's a risk that you want to write and you want this person as a client and you have the Lloyd's pen, you're going to get the risk. You're going to get it. That's the pro.
Okay.
The con is the back end administrative costs and the technology they're so far behind everyone else.
Okay.
When it comes to a claim, very messy, very hard to manage. They can be very disorganized because Lloyd's, it's a very, very, very big company. Whenever there's a claim in commercial and there's too many people touching the file, you probably know this from experience as well, it never goes as smoothly as it should. It should be one claims adjuster, one broker. That's when the claims go the best.
Okay.
When you have 5 people and then 4 people, it's never run properly. It's never run smoothly.
And who gets screwed in the end? The delays to the client, right?
The client just ends up getting paid less. It's the client who ends up being dissatisfied at the end. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No,
do you guys do any commercial?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah?
We're not as strong as in personal lines.
Okay.
But I'm developing some connections that would help us. You know that type of person that you would tell him, I have the lead, I have everything, I just don't know how to write that proposition and sell it.
Yeah.
So he loved the idea because it was complementary. It's an intermediary between the insurance company and the broker, and It's an underwriting company. So, but we were very transparent with the fact that, like, the first couple of files, like when you get 100, 200K files, I'm known in the market as the king of BORs, simply because I don't know how to work the file. But I just convince the client to come. Same price. Not a problem. He'll come.
You're talking commercial?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, we work small ones. We're not that strong when it comes to big commercial files. But we take them BORs because they know us already.
Yeah.
Like the clientele, they're either customers with us, friends with our dad. They know us in one way or the other. So
they want to support you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Same premium.
Yeah.
I'll do the better service.
Yeah.
I know how to service it better.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to write it from scratch.
Yeah.
But we found an underwriting brokerage that would be able to help us write those files.
Got it.
So just bring the clientele. And I learned that the hard way, that the most difficult part is bringing the client, right?
Yeah.
That's the easiest part for us.
Yeah.
Easiest part, because like he comes, gives you the specimen check, gives you the contract. Like, just, okay, I want to be at Nour. That's it, walks away. Like, stay, man. Like, there's a couple of questions that I need to do. And you have to rebuild the proposition. So I have a commercial director with us, very nice guy. He's the one that builds and helps us run the commercial department. But never stop there. Like, there's something that I don't understand also, like in Quebec. In the Autorité des Marchés Financiers, you have 4 pillars, right? You got the damage insurance, casualty and property, you got life insurance, financial planning, and mortgage. So I want to have all of those as well. Like, once you develop a portfolio, you can actually make money out of it in
you want to cross-sell
many
everything.
ways.
Yeah, you want to
many
synergize.
ways. So we already have a life insurance department that's growing.
Do you think you're doing it too soon, though?
Not as much, because the key person is in charge of developing that department.
Okay, fair enough.
So I don't even have my license, and I don't like to sell anything that's not obligated by law to be sold.
Yeah.
So I don't like to sell life insurance. It just sucks, and you have to follow the client. The damage insurance clients follows you, right? So that's the beautiful part of it.
I think that's a good point where we can leave this off. George, thanks so much for coming on today, man. That's we'll talk more after. It's good to finally meet you. I always like meeting young people, just people in general, I guess, that work in the in the insurance industry.
Yeah.
But this is George, Nour Insurance. I'm Curtis, KBD Insurance, host of the Freemium Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks, Georgie.
Thank you.